Spyro's physiology actually allow him to glide with this level of efficiency? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the revolution. I'm Brian of Chamber of the Wraith, and for the first time ever, we're playing something on the PC. In particular, we're playing Spore, probably my favorite PC game to date because of all of the options that you have. Why simply create a character when you can create entire destinies, space empires, and more? That's why I really like this game. There's so much you can do, and it's just generally a blast. However, as this is my first PC series, a couple of disclaimers are going to be needed. One, unfortunately, I have to record this in post because apparently my webcam microphone does not work when recording it through the way that I am recorded this game. As a result, it means that I'm basically just running on audio at the moment. So I have to supply the audio separately. However, another caveat is that another series for the PC in Arkham Origins is also... Arkham Origins has some slight performance issues, so if it gets jittery, I apologize. So without further ado, we're just going to jump on in, and since I'm recording this commentary in post, I can kind of talk about what I was intending on doing. I was intending on basically giving a brief explanation, going through the cell, creature, tribal, civilization, and all the way to the space stage. I'm not sure how far I'm going to push this, because there is a kind of quasi-ending, but it takes a really long time to get to, so perhaps it'll be a stream thing to consider. You can choose your diet to start out, and I like to cycle through until I get a body plan that I want. Usually I like to go for a black cell with round eyes, but I eventually go for this little orange guy with the stalks. And I don't go for a theme, and I go on normal difficulty. So this is a normal difficulty playthrough, nothing too crazy. And I tried to think of a name, but I could not think of one. So eventually I decided to just randomize a little bit, because some of the random names are pretty cool. Pardar, Celon, Garius 2, Zethia, and so on. But I do eventually arrive at a name. I don't remember exactly what name it is. I had trouble pronouncing that one because I didn't know that it wouldn't work. So Smindonix would have been fun, but I just kept going and going. This takes a little while, but eventually I do kind of arrive at a name. You'll know it if it starts with an O, because that is what I know it to be. It should be coming up right away here. Excuse me. Nephion. Nope. Herbie. Fun. Efren Kerma. Efren Surma. Whatever. Anchush. I think they just make up words and then just pick from a randomizer. It's not... Here it is. Orloseus is the name of the planet. And because of Spore's abilities, we just jump on in. This is the Galactic Adventures version of Spore, so that's why... So, it came out in 2009, but the original version of Spore came out September 7th, 2008. Life on planet Orloseus is about to get a major shakeup, thanks to a spatial phenomenon known as panspermia. The seeding of other worlds with life via asteroids. Our little guy's inside, and life on this planet is about to take a dramatic turn. Sinking to the bottom of this lagoon, life is born. Our little guy. Now, I have the controls set up in a way wherein he follows the cursor. I don't have to press any arrow keys or anything, it's just all of the keys, all the arrows. This only really applies to the cell stage, but it's still very useful. At this stage, your mission is to eat, And as you eat, your path is dictated in this game. Spore has 3 general paths that you can go through, arriving at 10 different archetypes. Here in the cell stage, you can see 3 of them now. As you can see, I ate meat, which brings me towards the carnivore archetype, whereas the green herbivore archetype is arrived at by eating plants. And if you eat both, you're an omnivore. This is probably the most critical stage for the early part of the game because you choose what you eat in the creature and tribal stages. Whether you're a carnivore or an herbivore, however you are gathering your food. And there are certain powers. I decided to test some settings to try and get some music back, but it doesn't look like it applied. So as I was saying, you also gain special abilities from each archetype that arrive you at certain ways to complete your mission. Killing creatures with new parts will allow you access to parts that you can equip. In this case, spikes, which is going to be very integral. If you're not playing with spikes in the cell stage, no matter what difficulty, you're going to be in trouble. I'm trying to elude the big chomper behind me, but it's difficult, because despite his size, he's faster than me. So I decided to try and deke him, get him to eat that guy, but it didn't work, unfortunately. So, running out of options, eventually I decided to call him mate. And calling a mate is key because that means you get to evolve and breed. There we go. This sort of press the backspace. Is it backspace? Yeah, press the backspace button is key. In this case, it calls up a mate, allowing you to breed and allowing you to evolve. Which in this case requires that I change body shape, how my flagella look, and adding some spikes. Generally speaking, when it comes to playthroughs in Spore, grabbing your archetypes in the space stage, of which there are 10 different types, is dictated by actions in the earlier stages. Which means, for instance, if I were to, let's just say, be all blues, I would be a trader. And if I were all greens, I would be a shaman. But with the path I'm going down, we're aiming for a diplomat. So an even spacing of blues and greens. Generally speaking, the way I like to picture Spore's little cards is red is violence, green is peace, and blue is adaptability. I forgot that I actually changed the mouth here because I want to go for being an omnivore. Without a mouth, a creature is doomed to starvation, so you need a mouth. It's the only real requirement. You can have just about anything else, although having just a mouth is not going to lend too well for you. So having eyes to actually be able to see all that's around you, and a propulsion system in order to get you around, and a weapon to fight back, especially as a herbivore, is important. And now I decided to give this creature a name. The eventual name becomes Wraithly. That'll be the name of the species because this is the Chamber of the Wraith, after all. So Chamber of the Wraith, these are little Wraithlies, and we're going to be off on our wonderful adventure. Shall we? Well, eventually, anyway. Stab. And away we go. Back out into the world. This is going to be a half-hour-long episode because it's all of the cell stage in one fell swoop. Spore is a very long game to play. As far as getting to the space stage overall, if memory serves, takes about 10 to 15 hours. And then space stage becomes infinite replayability effectively in its own right. Because you have all the empires you have to run into and create and such. Bless me. Sorry about that. So yeah, now as a plant eater, I can't attack with my mouth. But I have access to the green plant buds, which I didn't have before as a carnivore. But just because I'm a plant eater doesn't mean I can't fight back, thanks to those horns. As a plant eater, you need those horns in order to fight back, but with them, and them being horns, you can take on just about anything. Even these mighty big cells. You can kill these guys for parts, but as you will see, the first one you kill doesn't actually lend you the parts. It's the second one onwards. So you gotta keep stabbing at the booster. And eventually, down he goes. Now, doing this is useless outside of getting parts, especially if you're a carnivore, because your jaws can't punch through a dead epic cell skin. So just killing them like that is not going to work out very well for you. Unless you're trying to mine for parts, which I recommend doing because collecting all 6 parts maximizes your options for when we do go onto land. You could go all-out attack, or have something to eat, or have multiple feeding options, and so on. Excuse me. Ouch. Some of these Maxis made cells actually have impossible parts, different designs for the filter feeder and the jaws being behind horns and such. They're impossible. There's no way to actually tweak them without mods. And I'm playing an unmodded version of Spore because I don't like fucking around with mods. I decided to try and kill this red guy for his jet, which is going to come in handy later because high speed, but low maneuverability. But when paired with another part that gives practically perfect maneuverability, that combination ends up becoming really, really good. I gotta stay on my toes, though. I don't want to get ambushed. And usually at carnivores at the same size, if you stab them, will back off. These big plant guys are best for growth. The only thing is that they don't net DNA all that often, and you need DNA points in order to grow and evolve. So I eventually do leave, and if memory serves, I call to switch, or do I stay like this? No! I was thinking about it, but then I saw this big purple guy with his poison sack, the Squirty. Poison is a very good defensive thing, and only animals with poison of their own are immune. And it's also really good because it slows down epics, and if you keep your poison trail behind you, it acts as like the perfect defensive weapon. Boom! Perfect example of what I was talking about. Now, eventually, I don't remember if I... No, I don't. I don't think I actually do. Because I think I'm saving up for... Nope. Let's see what I have planned. Or what I had planned, anyway. Because remember, I'm watching this in the past. Oh, I see. I'm altering my horn position to be straight forward, because that means I can attack directly in the front. And then, for that little extra speed, I do apply a second pair of flagella, so that I have the same speed as a jet, but maneuverability. Now nobody gets in my way. Any plant eaters that try to steal my scraps are going to get stabbed, and any carnivores that want to pick a fight with me have to deal with the big spears in front of my face. Yum, 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 yum. Now those purple guys are what I want, but they're very fast. I can't keep up with them normally. My best bet is to try and kind of track them down and try and catch them off guard. However, because of their ability to turn on a dime, you really can't do anything about it. I don't know what that sound is. But he has to go down eventually. This is the one I kill for the... I think I remember what happens. I'm actually aiming for the omnivore mouth, which is the proboscis. But if memory serves, yeah, the big green guy up top snipes, or the purple guy gets killed, and the green guy snipes for somebody, taking that part away, meaning that I have to go kill something else in order to get that DNA blueprint. Laughing here, because like, oh man, I've got 2 carnivores on my ass. And I decide to turn and try and get it. Got the cilia. But I want the, oh, I see what I'm doing. I'm completely trading the flagella in for that. see the dance already, so we move on. Dropping these gives us enough DNA for a Celia, but we don't quite have enough DNA for a Flagella for a Jet, so we just leave it like that for now. You can change colors at any time, but I saved the color changing till the very end because it didn't cross my mind until very late into it. Yeah, stabby. Okay, now the pink guy is stopped by an obstacle. He can't move. I don't know why I didn't end up going for it, but... the big orange guy is giving me trouble, so off I go. Trying not to get eaten. For some reason, I thought, oh, why isn't Celia dropping? But then I remember I'm literally getting away from it with it. And soon I have no option but to turn around and stab him in the mouth and basically try and kill him. But I'm getting tag-teamed by a squirty and an orange guy. I believe these are spikies. But now that I've evolved, I'm his size, and boom. I see the green guy, but I foolishly try and hit him from behind. Because of all the jets, though, he's gone. Long gone. The trick with the green guys is to flank them, hit them from the side, and because they have jets, they turn very slowly. Meaning they don't have much of an option, but if you flank them, kill them. Like the orange spiky herbivores are. A quick check on progress to see where I'm at, and I figure it's time for an upgrade. And I don't believe I actually go for Proboscis just yet. I actually go for Jaws. Yeah, that's what I go for. I go for Jaws. Yum, 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 yum. To chop up meat chunks. And then I have enough DNA for a jet, and maximum maneuverability and high speed at a pretty decent cost. I realize I have jaws, so I can't eat plants. I wanted to bring my rep down a little bit to the middle, so I decided to become a carnivore for the last little bit. The only way to do that is to eat meat. The orange guys become a little bit too troublesome with my horn arrangement. But the more meat I eat, the more towards the middle I aim, and I only intended on eating enough meat to get the DNA necessary to replace the jaws with proboscises. Proboscis. That's what I meant to say, not proboscises, like it's a plural. And eating those little cells is an option too. They're the equivalent of a single meat chunk. So if you see them as a carnivore, go for it. Big guy's got his mouth full, so I decided to leave him alone. The green guy couldn't have given me trouble. I decided to turn him into lunch and grow in size. The final part is the electric bit, which acts as a purely defensive weapon. You can put it just about anywhere, and it does stun cells, but the thing is that it has a slight cooldown time. Spikes and poison don't, so you have to be wary of that. It's a very strong weapon, and as you can see, it can even shock epic cells. But that only ever gets you so far. And going against the current is always a bad idea. Ow. I have trouble. Now that I had enough, it's time to go find a mate. And replace this mouth with a straw. Make it bigger so that it can hit more. I've set it to do it like that, but I wanted to see if I could maybe scrunch the horns a little bit closer. It proved difficult, but I did manage to do it eventually. Show off the weapons a little bit. My plan at the end was actually to get poison, because you could do something really, really good. about proboscises is that... Probosci. Anyhow, proboscises, I'm going to go with, can hit opponents right in the mouth if they have jaws, which is usually an active hitbox, which means that carnivores can have their aggression turned against them, slurped up, and becoming DNA. Now, what's funny is that these little green guys will try and attack and bite you, but filter feeder mouths cannot be used to attack. So, really, they're too aggressive for their own good and doomed to die. And now that we're in the final stages, we're going to run into some interesting trouble with eggs. Eggs laid by Ma cells, which are the only cells that can do this, produce junior predators that will attack in packs. So you gotta watch for that. When you get big enough, the eggs do eventually become food sources, but for now, they're not very useful as that. So just feed on them. Once we cross into the final stage, which should be soon. Yeah. And poison lingers too, so you have a spot of trouble. Now the eggs become possible meals, but what you have to be careful with is that now they'll start evolving in packs, and they're the only small cells that can attack you with their mouths. Others can't. So I figured that eggs would guarantee me DNA, but they don't. Checking my DNA count, I realize that I have enough to get the final defensive weapon I need. And I decided to hide it in the jet, so it's like a poison jet. And I finally changed color here. There's 2 pages of patterns, and these cell patterns are unique to cells. Once you become creatures, they become unavailable. So I go with this ring, and then that's when I realized that the top part of the screen is actually kind of cut off for whatever reason, so I apologize for that. I don't remember if there is anything important in that top 5%, but it bears noting. Onwards! Blue and yellow Wraithleys are ready to roll. And now I have a poison trail behind me. No epic is going to be able to chase me down now. But I can't eat them, regardless of what I do. So, this is the part where I leave them be. Oh, and I demonstrate the poison cloud. If you have Celia and you just spin and you just flick your cell back and forth rapidly, the poison cloud trail will become basically an AoE attack, damaging all the cells around you and giving you a chance to escape some of the more nefarious predators, like the big green guy. Who seems doggedly determined to try and catch me. Quick check on progress to see where I am. I'm happy with where I am. And with one more meal, which is this little plant here. Nope. Oh, I think it's ow. No, I think it's a Ma. Oh, it's a booster. I evolve a brain. Forgot there's dialogue here. Congratulations! You're on the path to sentience! And I was curious to recall if I could get DNA at this point, but no. I don't even get a plus DNA 0, basically. And now, we review our history, which didn't last very long, to find that we are now omnivores, with a unique set of abilities. And this is where I read them off. Summon Flock allows a group of small creatures to help you in social and fighting situations. Flying Fish allows a sea monster to basically bring fish to the shore for your tribe. And then Static Bomb immobilizes all technology within a certain radius, useful for combat or for religious situations. And Gentle Generalist gives you a discount on standard equipment, like super scans and such. And then with Carnivores, you get Raging Roar to make all the creatures scared of you. Traps to lure creatures into a trap to get food. Invulnerability for vehicles and buildings in Civilization. And power weapon costs in the space stage. Enthralling your enemies, even the hostile ones, with Siren Song. Refreshing Storm to make fruit grow in the tribal stage. Healing technology in the civilization stage. And a discount on social tools are what you get as a herbivore. This is what I mean by, generally speaking, red being violent, green being peaceful, and blue being the adaptable. Your jack of all trades, as it were. Now it's time to go on the land, and this is where a little hint of creature creation begins, as I have all of the cell parts and enough DNA to get some legs. And I decide, let's get some legs. There is an achievement you can get for completing all of the creature stage without legs, which is totally possible, but legs are so useful, you may as well. Shrink it down, and then I decide I'm going to get rid of some of these cell parts, particularly the cilia and the jet. Don't need those on land, so I'm just going to dump them. And I decide I'm going to keep the horns and the proboscis, but it's time to make for a really long tail. I contemplate a neck, but I decide not to do that. Instead, just focus on a ridiculously long tail, because I like the idea of really long tails. Move the legs, and then make it digitigrade. Giving it 4 joint points and having a hip, knee, ankle, and ball of foot. Whereas, plantigrades like us have hips, knees, and our ankles are not raised off the ground like that. Give myself a little head, a very small neck, fatten out the body a little, and narrow and kind of create the tail to be a tapering thing, so that eventually just kind of taper out into a tail. I don't think you could do all of the commands here with a controller, which is why I never bothered. And I mean, I always played Spore with keyboard and mouse, so I wouldn't really go back anyway. And now I have these little horns on the front. Not that it really matters at this stage, but I do decide, because it would be silly to have the poison thing at the end of the tail, to put it in the mouth. But to do that, I have to get clever. Shrink it down, move the proboscis to the side, which looks weird, and then bam. Test it. There you go. And now I have enough DNA points to give myself an extra social ability, which is going to be very useful as a generalist cell. Electric. It goes from weapon to social charmer. It even flashes a little bit, but the tail makes it kind of hard to see. But I really like how it turns out. I was thinking about, do I want to give it stock eyes? I think about it, look at it, and I decide not to. I mean, the extra 5 DNA is going to be helpful anyway. I don't change my patterns, so everything's good. And up onto land we go. Eventually. There we go. No arms, just up we go. Onto land. And this is the part where I say this is basically the end of this episode, and it is, because part 1 of the creature stage will be the next episode. So the load screen's kind of cool because it'll show you what kinds of creatures you're going to eventually be dealing with and who made them. Jay Parker was me way back in when I was crazy about Spore. Back in like 2009, which was over 10 years ago. This is weird to think about. Spore is like 12 years old now, almost. Little guys come on the land, making cute little squeaks. And here we are on dry land. It's the beginning of a new day, a whole new and strange and wondrous world. Air fills your lungs as you stretch into your limbs in your new home, dry land. The race to evolve has begun. Next time, that is. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to be awesome, and I'll see you guys on the other side.